For me, it's a question back. It's like, what are people struggling with? I think that's what we're not asking ourselves. We're going to mandate a closure of a large portion of your service, but that's okay because you're going to get money. Okay, but what does that mean? Are we being told that money is the solution of all problems? Is that what we're being told? I don't know.
A lot of times when I'm doing a solo, I'll close my eyes and I can feel the lights, you know, they're hitting me, they're hot, I'm sweating, and I get in the moment, you know, especially in certain songs, you kind of get into the moment.
There are now more than 118,000 cases.
Ground zero for this mysterious
And I got to feel that again last
night,
and I've missed that. I've missed that when the rhythm section's rocking and you've got a good mix on stage, your monitors sound good, you close your eyes, you're doing a solo, and I was like, okay, I'm there. I think all of us as a band collectively, we need that feeling. When I've done it my whole life, this is the only thing I've ever done, is play music. March 14th, they took it away, just went, it's gone.
Concern, of course, how to stop it from spreading. A Chinese
And the number of affected countries.
I don't think we are all in this together. And until I'm in a position where I'm serving on the front lines in a hospital and watching people die in my arms, I'm not going to comment on their point of view. Until you are watching your business slowly stripped away to the point where you can't pay your rent or your bills, or you're losing your home, or you're on the verge of losing a company that you've worked the better part of your life to build, then I don't think you can comment on whether you would take the risk and open up against the regulations either.
Over the past few weeks, we've seen COVID-19 spread around the globe.
The World Health Organization is holding an emergency meeting to determine whether this outbreak is now an international public health.
We will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30
Here in
days.
Canada, 93 cases have been reported, and on Monday, one person died. Before we go any further...
This is my worst nightmare to do to someone. I want to help you so badly, but I just can't. So it's been really heartbreaking and scary to see like how things have gone very wrong.
We're facing an unprecedented time in our history. This is a decision that was not made lightly. COVID-19 constitutes a danger of major proportions. We're taking this measure because we must offer our full support and every power possible to help our healthcare sector fight the spread of COVID-19.
I don't know about the stresses of the essential worker other than what we see on television, read in the news, on social platforms. And I get it. And we're grateful for them because they keep us safe. They're doing work that the large majority are not, or are not capable of, or are not licensed to do. And that we say thanks. And I don't think that's enough. All we're saying here is the other side being told.
My name's Jimmy Colden. I'm part owner in a couple of restaurants in downtown Kingston, Casa and Woodenheads. 27 years.
27 years.
Yeah, 27 years.
27 years.
And we started it from scratch. Yeah. Met each other at the golf course, I guess.
It's hot weather in spring.
It's humming. It's humming down here. I mean, first of all, we get in here and there's deliveries. The Clarence Street is backed up. There's truck after truck after truck coming in here because we also try to do, and I think it's part of our success, is we're big on fresh, you know, so we turn the product over quickly, but we also have it delivered 3-4 times a week. It's full on. It's a buzz.
Yeah.
It's a buzz.
Oh yeah. I can talk for hours.
I know you can. That's why we're talking.
My name's Brett Stickle. I live in Kingston. I've been here for owning my business for
22 years as of this past February. Every other chair is empty in this salon. And we had to buy barriers and reflectors to stop people being too close when they're getting shampooed, anything. So all of a sudden you take away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stations out of 13. That's a big thing. So
no, I don't. Okay. So my name is Corey Lacoon. We are at the Meadows, which is a wedding venue located in Sterling, Ontario, and I am an owner-operator of the wedding venue. There's such a demand for weddings, for all-inclusive weddings where you're not just giving people a show and they've got to get their DJ, their wedding planner, they've got to find all their decor, they've got to find a caterer. Couples are looking for that beautiful day that's not going to cause like mental breakdowns. Like they want to have it be a fun experience. Like they want to shop for the dresses, they want to shop for the florals, the photographers, the party, stuff like that, right?
Over the past few weeks, we've seen COVID-19 spread around the globe.
Prohibition of organized public events of over 50 people.
Should businesses face a cash crunch in the short term, we will work with our financing crown corporations through the Business Credit Availability Program to protect jobs and to be there for businesses.
Secondly, the following establishments are closed effective immediately until March the 31st.
Is the other story being told? Is the non-essential worker being told that they have not the same impact as non-essential workers? I don't know. I'm rambling here, but yeah, I don't know. I was trying to like find a little bit, then I come back. I go a little bit and come back, as opposed to like.
You know, I had a customer yesterday write a review saying, you know, I wish we had more selection, but we have 200 dresses here. Like I got to prepay for all these dresses and hope to sell them.
Did COVID change that at all?
Yeah, it changed how I buy. I'm buying less. Because how can I? My name is Stephen Morano. I am the owner of Bridal Creations and Morano's Formalwear here in Kingston, Ontario. This is our 27th year on the bridal side and year 7 of it going harder in the men's side.
They're in a different world where there's nothing for them to do. And I think that if it's a band or just a single artist, it could be over for them. Yeah, because the momentum's gone. Anything that they had it's history. Yeah, you have to get in front of people. You have to slug it out coast to coast. That's how you make money as a recording artist.
Okay, so yeah, we're hanging out at my cottage in Muskoka. It's called the Rock Pine. And yeah, it's just kind of a slice of heaven in the middle of nowhere. I'm primarily a wedding photographer, elopement photographer, adventure photographer.
Do you relish challenges?
Yeah. Yeah, because I like the possibility of failure. Like, it motivates me. So if I have an idea and it seems a bit risky, it almost entices me more. It's amplified it for sure, because like, why the heck would you start 2 new companies in the middle of a pandemic when you already don't have a fraction of the income that you had? But I just like can't sit still. I can't be bored.
Yeah, this is come in, dine, spend a while. The check average is considerably higher here than it is over there. And so it's a different style of restaurant altogether. The day before we actually got the announcement, everybody was buzzing. It was on the internet, it was on Twitter. People, you have to shut, there's a pandemic, it's bad, it's this, it's that. Yeah. There was an eerie feeling that night. The next morning we came to work and the announcement was told, we're gonna be shutting down in, I think they gave us a couple days. Yeah. And it was gut-wrenching. It was a feeling that I really never had in business before.
He's the one that says he gets it. He's the one that says, we're all in this together. He's the one that says he's going to control price gouging, restrict corporate America to just essential goods. I get that, and great. But how does that support us? I guess what I'm trying to say is like, if the best way he can support us is if he just listens to what actually is going on. That makes sense.
And with COVID, it's just, they don't want recording acts to play necessarily small venues.
Yeah, it's got to be all or none.
It's got to be big time. When are we going to get to the point where you have 15, 20,000 people crushed in against the stage having a great time? I don't know.
We're doing this again.
For service in English, please stay on the line.
No one should have to worry about their job if they have to be quarantined. No employer should feel like they have to lay off a worker because of the virus. We can support you, and we will.
Please hold while we transfer you to a customer service representative. Our customer service representatives are currently assisting other callers. Please stay on the line.
This goes on.
Canada is among the best prepared countries in the world to respond to the situation we're facing. We will get through what comes next together.
Tell us more about like the reaction the first lockdown kind of like hit.
We just finished a sold out show. It was a St. Patrick's party. And we kind of were like, should we do the show? Like it was just when, you know, Tom Hanks has COVID and the NBA walked off the court, and I called the client. I'm like, are you going to go ahead with this? He goes, well, Mark, we're sold out. Yeah, I'm going ahead. I want to make the money. And we thought, okay. So they announced that my kids are going to get an extra 2 weeks of March
and
break.
The initial reaction is, we can't afford to pay anybody. If we're closed, we're closed.
That's the machine.
There is no more money coming in. As you settled into it a little bit, sure, we realized that there were some key people that had to keep getting paid. Yeah. And how were we going to do that? Yeah. At that time, there were no subsidies. There were no nothing.
Like as soon as the first lockdown happened, couples were reaching out to us like, how do we postpone? Like, can we, like we are thinking of maybe canceling, like what are the procedures with that? Making it as fair as possible, because we know like, it's not their fault, it's not our fault. Like we have to find common ground and make it as fair as possible.
I recall February 2020 was probably the most stressful time. It was right before the lockdown. Yeah. And people were starting to, hey, this shit is serious. And it started going, like people stopped coming in. And so we're open, but all of a sudden we're getting slower and slower and slower. And everybody, the staff are nervous, everybody's anxious.
We pulled up in the bus in the parking lot where we park it, and I joked with the guys. I said, well, see you in a couple of weeks. Guess we get a couple of weeks off. Maybe I won't see you for a few months. Ha 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 ha. We all laughed, right?
The first reaction was, can't believe it's not going to happen. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Now the reaction is, I'm not listening to anybody until it comes on the thing. With the disinformation that's going on now, people want to be able to tell you that you're going to close before the government even tells you you're going to close.
And then the calls started coming. So once stage 2 happened, like we were down to 11 weddings. I'm like, oh, hey, it's going to be a tight year. Don't know, like we'll get through it. But then
the calls in terms of
bookings, new clients started calling like crazy. It was really sad because they'd been double booked or their venue wouldn't accommodate a wedding this year outside.
And when you see Italy as a ghost town, nobody's allowed out, I immediately acted upon contacting the BDC bank. It was for me the biggest relief that the BDC, like they were great, they gave me the money. Not gave me the money, they lent me the money. Sure. And that's a big difference in a lot of this.
You know, you don't make money in record sales.
That's the business.
Yeah, you have to get in front of people. You have to slug it out coast to coast. That's how you make money as a recording artist.
It's here. And the buzz itself in this industry, everybody's got their hands on the wheel and only staring at their own place. So we don't know what's going on around us. We hope everybody's doing okay, because more people that are in business down here, in the restaurant business, attract the people.
We have to make it so that the weddings are safe. We're following these procedures and protocols, but also making it and communicating to couples like your day is still going to be beautiful.
For me, I got a chance to just like take a deep breath, a reboot. Like, oh my gosh, it's only supposed to be 2 weeks. Nobody thought it was going to be 2 weeks, but nobody thought it was going to be 3 months. So that reboot, for me, started a whole new path on how to develop.
No, we're going to lock down for a couple of weeks and tamp this down, and everybody's going to be fine. Yeah. And then it got real. You know, you put on CNN and you see what's going on around the world. And I looked at my wife and I said, "This is not good. I'm scared." You know.
People died in more than 30 countries back in the early 2000s. How worried should we really be at this point?
Ontario is taking the right steps to protect people and the healthcare system. And today's announcement is an example of what we're seeing
real, and it is
across the
happening
country.
here at this location. 9:30 when people started lining up outside about 30 minutes before the store
Tomorrow, the World Health Organization is having that meeting to determine whether they're going to declare an international emergency. At this point, I don't think we need to be worried like we were back in the SARS days, but it hopefully doesn't get to that point.
Good morning, Mr. Premier. We completely understand how extremely busy you must be. We respect your commitment, working around the clock to support the people of Ontario. You are our voice. Our voice for restaurants, hair salons, live music, fitness facilities, wedding venues, photographers, and local retail. We believe that you will see our frustration, the passion, the confusion, and the commitment to never giving up. I can only hope that you will view our trailer and feel the true story of the non-essential worker. Our goal is to get the story right, the right perception. So the statement, we're all in this together.
We're not. It's who's going to give the least pushback if we close down, and who is going to, like, what is going to affect the economy the most. Yeah, of course they do. Like, the small businesses can only do so much, and they're only so big, and they only have so much money. Yeah. But you can't go shut down a factory because that's essential.
We said, please do us a favor. Our suppliers can't get in. They can't deliver. You've got these barriers. We phoned them in like early June and said, get rid of them.
Oh, you went at it that way?
We went at it. Get rid of them. We don't want them. Well, what do you mean? That's where you're going to set your patio up. Nick had a very good point. He said, look, if we can't see our customers, then we don't want anything. Yeah. I'll tell you why. Because we can't. We've worked 27 years for a brand, and we're going to throw them out on with the same menu and throw them up on a dirty little sidewalk and say, there you go, here are your menus. Thanks for your bill. No, well, Steve, that's not how we operate.
Right? Like, you get the government grants, you get the CERB, you get the bank loans. You're fine. Like, you got nothing to complain.
Yeah, but you owe that back.
So
you're not fine.
How do you respond to somebody saying that to you?
I say it helps. It helps in the immediate thing, but then I'm also now on the hook for, let's say you take the full max, and that's, if you take that full max of everything you're saying, you're looking at almost like $180,000. So yes, that's a lot of money to pump in to help you through bad times, and that's amazing, and it's really appreciative. But at the same time, at the end of it all, 140 of that I'd have to pay back. That's on my head. That's more stress, more pressure.
It hit so hard this time, especially because it's number 3 too. And it's just like we haven't been given a lot of support or resources. Even when I try to reach out to public health MPs, MPPs, like, we'll look into it for you. Or I ask questions and it's just like, this is a public health crisis. And I'm like, this is gonna become a prolonged, chronic public health crisis.
I get an email blast. So an email blast is where I get to see when these things happen. But an email blast is not a very effective way when you're busy all the time and then you forget to follow up on an email. Yeah. Personal connection. I'm in the industry of personal connection.
I took the CERB, whatever, you know, the money that they were giving. I qualified, why not? Sure. But it wasn't enough money to sustain what I had to sustain. We stopped all the payments on stuff. We were allowed to do that on our house, on our vehicles, the tour bus, all that stuff. Just shut it down, thinking, okay, we can get through this for a few months, and then the months turned into more months.
Even though I think it's all garbage, I'm literally just waiting for the next announcement that's going to tell me whether I'm going to have a really good summer or if I'm going to lose another entire year's income. And it's not even just losing this year's income, because in the wedding industry you book a year in advance. So everybody's already moved from 2020 to 2021, and now if they move from 2021 to 2022, you're talking 3 years of revenue, or 1 year of revenue that's been spread out over 3 years. So, like, that's just crazy, and I mean, I guess I'll just deal with it as it comes. And
they've done nothing. So if you ask me what they've done, they've hired a liaison, the communication's been better, but them themselves have done nothing to help us. Our tax bill's the same rent for out front, and it's disgusting the amount of parking tickets that are placed on vehicles in this area. Well, I bet you probably got one now, and I got one now, and Nikki's got one now.
You know, when they set out guidelines of things, just little things we had to do, like for instance, we had to change all of our curtains in the store, little things. At first they wanted us, the one rule was no curtains, they wanted us to have wooden doors on every change room. That would have cost me about $35,000. We got a quote. How are we gonna how am I going to be ready to open up? Because they just announced it, okay, we're opening up in a week. Here's the guidelines to follow. I just came up with, honestly, we use shower curtains. Those are just shower curtains. But it works.
It breaks my heart that they've lost thousands and thousands of dollars because their venue's not going to refund them anything, or because their venue went under. And I really feel for those couples, and I really feel for the venues, because obviously they're in a very tight spot where the government maybe hasn't communicated to them, like, what do you need in order to stay in business, or they haven't had all their bases covered.
For me, at least, it was, okay, I'm gonna work really hard. I'm gonna put all of my energy into this. I am going to make this successful, and then now it's like there's just this other person here, the government, that is now all of a sudden taken the control out of my hands and told me, yeah, that I can't work. And so like that's something I never saw happening. I'm like, there's no chance that I could not be successful because I'm going to put everything into this, and like I believe in my abilities. But then all of a sudden, yeah, that's not enough anymore.
So 4 long weekends, they're going to close their street, and we can put the tables out on the street. I told them that's not enough. I said, close it for the summer. And that was drastic, but I told them that it's not a question of, listen, we're at half capacity now. You're not doing us any crazy favors by closing the street. We're back to the norm, probably pretty close to the norm that we would have been anyway.
We have questions and want to be like, so what's happening with the wedding industry, like in stage 2? Like, can you give us anything? The MP, yeah, and they were just like, we don't know anything.
Yeah, the lockdowns, they frustrate me for sure, and they didn't in the beginning. I was all for doing what I was supposed to do and like shutting down, but then I think just all the half measures from the beginning have put people in a position where they aren't literally having to choose between the public health recommendations from the government and losing their businesses. For most people that are sole proprietor, like you're literally you might be losing your home or your car or like all of your possessions because your business closes down.
It's an ordeal to start up and shut down and start up and shut down, no matter how nimble you are. It's an ordeal. You don't know how busy you're going to be. And when you close, they give you 2-3 days to close. Yeah. We had stuff coming in the door as the announcement was going on.
Okay, so why do I feel like a second-class citizen? Because I can't continue with my project, and the longer my project takes, the more money it's going to cost me, and I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to have am I gonna have half the revenue? Am I gonna have a quarter of the revenue? Am I gonna have no revenue compared to the previous
year?
Get
us back to normal, just for a bit. We've been a year in this. Get us back to normal. Giving us that is getting us back to normal, okay? For the entire day, night, 7 days a week. Sure. We're back to normal. We can hire more people. We can put more people in the kitchen. We can have more people in front of the house. I mean, it's good for everyone.
I don't know a business that can go 2 full years with no revenue. And just like the government has programs, but I haven't heard of one that will keep a business afloat for a full year, right? Or a full 2 years.
No one is paying attention anymore. No one, you had our attention, you had our compliance, and the half measures led us here and then continued out throughout the last year and a bit. And now, I don't even see a solution because, I would say 50% of the people are not listening, and the other 50% maybe are, but there's no coming back and getting the attention back of the 50% that have checked out.
The come home, then stay put message started coursing through the country on Friday the 13th of all days.
Are we working hard enough in order to understand everybody's struggle, or what is their struggle, as opposed to just doing the easy thing?
Both the immediate and the long-term impacts that this pandemic can have on people's mental health.
Millions of Canadians simply shifted to working from home, while the most precariously employed
the health and well-being of every Ontarian must be our #1 priority.
What is the struggle? What are people struggling with? If it's mental health and being deprived of physical adaptation, then why are we taking that away?
For definitely, absolutely. So my mental health has definitely been the worst it has ever been in this past year. It's just, thanks for sharing. Yeah, it has been.
I would like to say, I'm like a rock for myself, rock for my family, rock for my staff, and just in the community is trying to be the best person I can possibly be. When that first lockdown happened, you know, the first 2 weeks, it was just like, I just like started rethinking, reprioritizing. But then after it dragged on longer and longer and longer, there started being cracks. You know, anxiety came through huge.
I've put on the COVID 15 or whatever you want to call it. Maybe the 20, I don't know. I've had trouble sleeping. I worry a lot. You know, I go from worry to anger, to frustration. It's a battle. I've tried to come to terms with it and just say, it is what it is. It's all going to work out. I'll always play music. I know that in my heart, but will it be my full-time thing? I really don't know.
Yeah, every time you get knocked down, you bounce back a little slower, I think. So anytime that I notice myself going to that place, I'm like, okay, you've been here before, you know this lasts for like 24 hours, don't make any like harsh decisions or like anything in this period immediately following a change in restrictions or a lockdown or
like just going through huge changes in your business while there is a pandemic and not knowing if you're going to be able to put food on the table is huge. It's so scary, especially when you have invested so much time and money and this is your dream and you're like, this might get just taken away from me this year. And
well, mental health during this first lockdown, it started off okay and then it wavered and then it was getting worse and we deteriorated to the point that when we actually got announced that we can go back to work, I was nervous. I don't want to go back to work and try to make up for 3 months of not working and then killing myself doing it.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about. I talk to my wife about it. It's depression, yeah. I didn't pick a guitar up for probably 2 months.
By choice?
I just didn't want to. For me, I just felt like I was kind of angry that it was taken away, and I don't have the right to feel that way, but that's how I felt.
And then I like use it to grow. So, and obviously I don't want that. Like I'm totally cool if things are sailing and I'm living the dream too.
And don't have to use that.
Yeah, I don't have to do that. I weirdly, in some twisted way, find some joy in that. Like I don't even know.
Exactly, and this was kind of like my end goal for life, for my career, and it's like, wow, I finally found that thing, and it might be taken away.
Okay, so when it comes to isolation, you're sitting at home and you're not allowed to see people, your day-to-day is interacting with other human beings. And all of a sudden, you're just like, boom, plunked in a place where you wake up in the morning and you're like, there's not going to get a better day. Like, today's not going to get better than yesterday.
We have a job that every night people come to us and say, you're awesome. And that makes you feel good. You stay humble and you're like, thank you very much. And so when you get that, when you get your psyche fed like that all the time, and then it's taken away, it's depressing. You know?
For me, it's just a lot of anxiety around the next announcement and the next time it changes and we make all these adjustments to follow the rules and then the rules change. I just am mostly confused and frustrated, sad, anxious.
It's just devastating. They put all this time and energy into planning their big day and it's just going to be taken. Just like the weight, the pressure from couples and family. It was just a very, very heavy year for mental health.
Our staff, both salons, we're family and you don't see them for 3 months, 2 months. You start losing a bit of that connection. But still, like you still feel like you're missing a sister or missing a brother.
It's a big part of my identity. Yeah. I've always been the guy in the band, and it scares the hell out of me that I'm not going to be the guy in the band. It's a tough thing to wrap your head around.
Am I going to adapt in the right way, or am I going to adapt in the wrong way? Like it's so much unknown.
I don't feel like I'm on the verge of a mental breakdown by any means, but I do think that a lot of people are, and I don't know.
The flood of information coming out about COVID-19 right now can feel
a small minority of Canadians don't believe the rules apply to them, and others are just tired of living
town or neighborhood. Shops and restaurants are closed.
Has more on the frustrations
but it's been at the epicenter of a boisterous debate over how public policy is meted out. While businesses in 2 GTA regions aren't allowed to have customers enter their stores due to a lockdown, Just a few streets over, a mall is thriving
The
with
essential
massive
worker
lineups.
is busting their hump, you know, daily, weekly, and we see that,
monthly.
and we praise and provide great thanks and appreciation to that, which we should,
Rules
absolutely.
and recommendations are being put into place to slow the spread of this coronavirus, and you, like
has
us,
come a
have
slew
lot
of
questions.
regionally unique public policies that have left many people confused
This
and
province-wide
confounded.
shutdown, it's a temporary but one-time measure in response to the
However, putting the shoe on the other foot, does that story not need to be heard or highlighted or even is out there to the non-essential worker? Definitely am trying to be censored on how I'm trying to say that. And I feel like I go a little bit, then I come back.
Everybody's got an opinion on what's going on out there. And I have my own opinion too. But I'm afraid to really tell people how I feel because it just would spread like wildfire, you know.
You have to toe the line. You know, your connection to COVID-19 and this whole lockdown is very correlated to most times correlated to what you do for a living. So I'm retail. I am hands-on. I don't have the luxury of staying home and getting paid. I need to sell. If I don't sell, I don't make.
Well, because there's a fear. There's a fear of being judged. There are people getting sick. There are people dying. The hospitals are full. And I totally understand, and it breaks my heart to see that happening. And if it's really scary to see. But there's a whole nother story that's happening.
To be more careful of what you say.
I think that's a great question. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, I was very cautious because I didn't want to make it about me, and I didn't want to feel like, oh, woe is me, this poor privileged girl that misses traveling, you know? So I was like very...
The perception's there, right?
Oh, it's there. It's everywhere. And look at you and they're like, people are dying, people are sick, like people are on the front lines, like, and so I was very receptive to that, and yeah, close my mouth, like do my part.
The closures and openings and restrictions that are put on us, I definitely have toned down in the general public what I feel or have to say. Like Jimmy said, the answers are shorter and they are what they are, and you just say things aren't, you know, the answer is things aren't good, we'll see what happens.
Some people think COVID's not real, and other people, you know.
Does that piss you off?
Yeah, it pisses me off because I have an opinion and I'd like to say how I feel about stuff, but it was tough to do these shows, I'll be honest with you. I had some people reach out to me. They said, what are you doing? Why are you playing a show endangering people? You know, and that's their opinion, and I respect it, but I said, we are not breaking the law. We're following the protocols given by the health board, you know, we're following all the guidelines, the clubs are following them. And I say we have to start somewhere.
And our guests said, this is the biggest con. It's the condemic. It's like everything. They don't believe.
Well, that conversation's present.
Oh, it's always present with somebody, one that's a day is going to come in and say, this is ridiculous.
And also the whole argument that says that because you are wanting to work and end lockdowns or open back up, that it automatically just means that you don't care about COVID and you don't care about the people on the front lines or the people dying. Like, that's not the case. Automatically, it shouldn't mean that you don't care about the health of other people.
How much you believe in something really doesn't make a difference. You also are in fear of the backlash of you ever doing something that's not what people want you to do. And with the power of social media, you get on someone's bad side, you're done. You're defenseless. You can't do anything.
You can't. It's hard just to blurt out what you're really feeling, what you're really going through. It's hard to do, and I don't know if you're going to get it out of me or not.
No, I'm not trying to.
You know what I mean? It's just,
yeah, I got calls all the time. People like, yeah, come on, Mark, this is all bullshit. We're going to have a party. It just wasn't worth it. We wanted to do it to make the money. Like, we're starving. Yeah, we want to plug the machine back in, but the machine would get unplugged quick and not get plugged in again.
Everyone has a different backstory. Everyone has been impacted differently. And like, I've always had some censorship to the way
I refrain from being antagonistic or anything like that, but I have no problems correcting when needs to be corrected. It doesn't bother me. And I think that more people need to do that. Sure. And you see Buddy not wearing a mask, holding this piece of paper, not wearing a mask. And it's just like he wants you to engage with him. Yeah. He wants you to push his button, so it gives him an outlet. I wouldn't engage with that person.
Could I say that would change anything? Shutdowns have to happen. Yeah. It's not like it's not happening. It's happening. What are the responses? What are the answers to the problems and the situations we're in? Are we blaming the provincial government for all our problems here? Is it their fault there's a pandemic going on? Whose fault is it? Yeah. Is there a fault? Yeah. Was there a better way to handle it?
But that's just my opinion.
Who knows?
You know? And in saying that, when you got the camera rolling, people were going to watch that and say, well, the ambush guy fucking, I don't believe in vaccine. I personally do. I think that's what we need to do to get back to normal. I could be wrong, but that's just in my heart, that's what I feel.
Vocal to voicing my opinion and using my platform for the people who feel alone and that they don't have a voice and that they're losing their homes and businesses and they're not allowed to say anything because it makes them insensitive to all the people that are suffering in other ways. And I'm just, like I said before, I feel like we've been forced into this position that the leadership should have never put us in, and now we are like trying to silence people's opinions.
We're not making money here.
Sure.
We're actually. You know what the difficulty is, Dino, when you kind of get into a question like that is, are we going to alienate people? Are people going to get upset because of what we're going through and we're voicing our opinion? So we have to be extremely careful. Even doing this interview right now, I find myself being careful about what I'm going to say because someone out there is going to get upset.
Some of the big box stores, it'd be a logistical nightmare. They have essential items spread out throughout their whole store, and I know this. We did it before, and that's why I'm confident it's going to work again. We did it in January, and I hear you. The anxiety of people are frustrated.
We've had a year to deal with this, almost a year to deal with it. Are we all working together? Are we all working against each other?
And had it been done differently from the beginning, or maybe we tried something else, like you said, choosing the people who suffer and asking them to just sit silent for a year and probably a half by the time we even get any actual substantial vaccinations rolling out or whatever, that's crazy.
We had people emailing me. They were saying, hey, look, I come in every week. It's a shame that this has happened to you. Just keep charging me as if I was there. No way. It was you just got tears streaming down your face.
You have to keep going during these times. But then we're told to stop and stay at home. Well, how do things move forward?
So to say we're all in this together, well, we're all in this scrambling in our own little world, trying to figure this out. And door number 3, this is the third knock at the door. It's difficult, it's hard on
Are we ready to hear the answer, I guess is when we hear that answer, are we gonna judge that answer? Are we gonna hold that individual accountable? And are we gonna make them reliable for what they said or how they're
The community knows it's been hard. And they're gonna be there, for our local community, it's been amazing that they've supported people so much. And I'm just really happy to be in the county that we're in.
I love to play music and I love to make people feel good. When I see people on the dance floor, when I said earlier I close my eyes, I'm in a solo, I see people on the dance floor that are in that same, they're feeling it.
A lot of phrasing online, support local, support local, support local, but I don't think we do enough.
You're only as good as the people that work for you. And they need to know that, and everybody needs to know that they are the ones that are really getting hammered here.
That is such a gracious, generous thing. We're going to be okay. But just even somebody saying that to you just really strikes it. So that's support local.
There's more to it. It's hard to say and it's hard to capture because as a practitioner, have to be careful on how we say this and how we
mourning
ask
a life
this.
that doesn't even feel like it was mine anymore because it was so freaking long ago that I was it doesn't even feel real. It feels like a freaking fairy tale. There's other people that nothing has changed. My husband's a perfect example. Love him, but nothing has changed for him. And he's completely unaware of the struggles, even though I'm right in his house, of the average entrepreneur or small business or non-essential worker.
Leaving my body, when I'm performing. I don't care what I look like while I'm doing it. It's very, you can see the emotion and just talking about it, I get the hairs, I get tingly.
Maybe that's a difficulty with showcasing the truth. Do we really want to hear it? Do people really want others to know it? Is it just a vendetta to make money?
Okay, so
right?
we have to rethink service, or we follow the procedures, the guidelines, everything that they've offered for
They're in a different
guidance.
position. Their occupation, the way they make money, what they love to do has been affected, and they can't control that.
It's something that I want to look back on and say, we didn't quit, and we leave a legacy for our children.
How is that? We're in the same house. Like, how is it that the two sides are so divided and the gap is so big?
I just think that there could have been a little bit more research into, like, how do we make sure that people just get by?
I feel that we should now be able to expect explanations, not blanket statements. You see a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. It's actual light. I want to know
we finished
why
it,
I have to close if I have to close.
And they were just like, and you hear someone yell, "Fuck yeah!" Ambush! Like I saw my kids when my babies, and they're just bartender yells, "The boys are fucking back!"
Knowing that couples, no matter what, like there was a pandemic, still wanted to get married. I was like, people still want to get married. Like, it's awesome. People still want to get married at our venue. Like, how wonderful
the financials
is
are tight
that?
right now, but it doesn't take away everything that I've done and everything that I'm capable of. So as soon as this opens back up again, I will be successful. I will make sure that I get that back, and I will work my butt off to do so. And it doesn't mean it'll be easy or that it was fair.
For people that are trying to appear like they're doing
back and say should have, could have, would have. I apologize to each and every one of you. Simply
Support
put,
is allowing
we got it
people to
wrong.
hear them, their voice, their story. Is that story needed?
I think
to
at
be
the end of
told?
this, we especially support your own community, because those guys are feeling the way I'm feeling. Like guys that own restaurants, that's their passion, and it's been taken away. It's our instinct, right? We like music.
This was a different picture a year ago. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just.
You represent us.
I'm just frustrated.
Ontario's non-essential worker. The small business. The engine that moves
I watch bar
Ontario.
owners when the club's rocking and the band's doing their thing, and they're behind the bar, and they're like, that's their vibe. Like that's why they do that. People are craving that, and so many people came up to me last night after the show and said, we needed that.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I needed that.